This is Dave Bazar, and I'm here with Mike Fenn. We're here to talk to you about today's position report. That is May's position report that came out. It's the 10th one in the series. We're going to change it up a little bit today, and we brought in two of our growers, Conrad De La Torre and Blake Quadros. You guys might also recognize them from other duties that they perform, but they're growers here at the Almond Company. So let's dive right into it. Mike, give us the numbers.
So like you said, this is the 10th position report for the year. This has been a fantastic report yet again. We shipped almost 43% more than we shipped last year in the month of May. And I think one of the biggest positives is you finally have a domestic market performance.
You know, you mentioned that last month that you thought it was coming, and what did we do domestically?
They were up over 22% for the month. So they're just starting to pick up steam, I think.
Yeah, and set the stage. If those of you who didn't watch it last time, they were running 3% up year to date, I believe.
Yeah.
So way behind what the industry was. Right. They had come off 2 months that they were actually behind, and now they've shown up.
Yes.
Do you know what their numbers are year to date? Did it improve them much?
They're almost 4% up. It's like 3.75% up for the year. So it hasn't changed it much, but I think it's a trend that's going to start to develop. And really, it's been the export market that really has carried the position reports almost for the entire year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fascinating to see how far they've come. I mean, India this month didn't really put up a performance like they have in the past, but it was really driven by China and the Middle East in the month of May that really carried it for us.
And I know we've always tried to keep these things professional, or at least tried to, but I mean, 43%, you feel like you should have confetti dropping, air gun. I mean, that's a big number.
It's the biggest percentage increase that we've had for the entire crop year.
And I know
to be in May is a big deal because it's normally a slower time of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, and logistic problems that continue.
Right.
You went right on through that.
Right.
You've got the domestic market going. So run through what it means on the rest of the numbers. I mean,
so you're almost done with this crop year. You are currently about 86% sold across the entire supply. That includes that carry-in plus this crop. So I think you're in a good position. That's about where you were this time last year. I think if you look to the June and July position reports to try to triangulate what you think that carryout is going to be, I think you could be pretty confident that you're going to be at 650 million pounds or below that. Mm-hmm. And I think if you went back a few months, 3-4 months, we were talking 700 million pound carryouts and thinking like that might not be achievable. So I think we've done a fantastic job as an industry. I think California has probably priced almonds too low, for too long. And I think we're trying to prep our growers for a 10-cent increase after this report. Mm-hmm. So on the current crop, and probably continued and sustained buying interest on the new crop, which has been trading at a premium to current crop, which is pretty rare to see.
I can see Blake's looking a little quizzical over there.
Got a question for you, Mike, Dave. I was having a conversation this morning with another fellow almond grower, and we were just talking about how fantastic those numbers were in that shipment report. But the question was raised is like exactly that 86% of the crop is sold. What are those numbers? Where are they derived from exactly? I think that's kind of something that the general grower is not really sure what is the aggregate number coming from.
So I like to start with, what is my supply? So what am I working on? So in the 2020 crop, we brought in 450 million pounds from the 2019 crop that still needed to be shipped, and some of it needed still to be sold. So I had 450 from last year. This year we've produced 3.1. So I have 3.55 billion pounds that need to be sold and shipped. Now, I look at, what have we now sold for the year? And there's commitments on the book that are not shipped. So those are sales that are going to be shipped some point in the future. That's 607 million pounds. And then I look at, what are our shipments to date? And we've shipped about 2.45 billion. So together, I look at, now I have a 3.55 supply and just over 3 billion pounds that have been sold and shipped. And that's what I'm coming together to get my 86% sold. You'll never see that number go to 100, right? Because it's going to be folded into the 21 crop. Just like I carried that 450 million pounds in from the 2019, that 650 that I've just been talking about, I'll be talking about that as the available supply for the 21 crop.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so you'll see this get to maybe 95% sold, and then we start talking about that as a portion of the next crop year's supply.
Is it running ahead of what it was last year?
You're pretty much right on pace.
Yeah.
You're pretty much right where you were this time last year.
Yeah.
And the sales that we made in May were also very good. So you're clicking away, and June's been good so far as well.
Okay, so
Confident.
summary of that is you've got a fantastic May. You've got the shipment numbers. Did you say what they were year to date now?
21% up.
Yeah, and to keep it in context, that's a crop of 22% up.
Right.
The 3.1. So
Right.
we did start talking about 800 million as a carry-in. Now we're talking about possibility of under
Below
600.
650.
All
Yeah.
spectacular news.
I think the next few pieces of information to come out before we put out another one of these videos is going to be a subjective estimate or an objective estimate. I apologize. So that comes out in the first half of July. That'll be the last estimate that we see for the 2021 crop, and so I think that'll have some bearing on kind of the trajectory of prices.
It sort of reminds me of what we really were positioned. It seemed like just 2 months ago, where we had fantastic growth and we were just waiting for that subjective estimate,
Right.
and we were poised to price up, and all of a sudden we got this 3.2.
It's a momentum killer.
Yeah, just really put a wet blanket. It feels like we're positioned again right where we were before, ready for the rocket to take off. Right.
Right. Again, I think almonds have been undervalued for too long, and you're starting to see that.
Yeah. Conrad, yeah.
Yeah, I took a little drive yesterday, a little bit to the west side. I probably covered 70 miles in that corridor of I-5 from Fireball going south. And I wasn't surprised to see how many orchards are really suffering the consequences from the lack of water or good water thereof. Is the buyer at all taking any of that into consideration? Because I was really blown away by the kind of numbers and the overall health of, number one, trees basically coming out. Number two, the ones that were still standing were very weak because of the water condition, the water quality. And even the ones that were being irrigated didn't really look right. They didn't have that vigor. They didn't have the color. It just seems like the tree is just there struggling. The crop overall was kind of weakish to me, which in turn the quality is not going to be that great. Is that all concern to the buyer that going forward we're going to have an issue with all the water problems that we're having here in the state?
I think most definitely. I think that part of the reason you're seeing a premium for new crop over the current crop today is because of that fear. And I don't know when the last time you have seen a premium for new crop would be.
It's rare,
Right.
I would say.
Right. So I think some of that price differential for the new crop is related to people worried that, number one, they've missed the boat on the value that almonds are now, and that the lack of water in the valley is going to affect the overall crop size, and that they are incentivizing you to sell it by giving you that premium, I believe, because of that reason.
From a grower's perspective, you always wonder, that is going to affect us a lot. And of course, the cost of doing business today is just so high, from labor to fuels, fertilizers. It's just getting so outrageous that I think at these prices, it's very tough to sustain.
And you were describing that area you're describing as seeing as stressed is really a powerhouse area, man. You were talking going out Shields to 5, right? So you're that heart of the west side,
Fresno County,
which is a powerhouse.
One of the premium spots for crops. Those guys can produce 4,000 pounds of the acre or even higher.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I was really blown away to see the quality and just the overall look of the tree just didn't look right.
Okay, a question for you then. If that are you seeing that as a uniform problem across the state? I know you travel a lot, seeing your clients and looking at orchards. Is that a specific to that area, or if you go up south, or down south, up north, to the east? Are you seeing that everywhere?
Not necessarily. You get in the Central Valley and trees for the most part look okay. Just in asking growers and just watching how much water they put on, and with a high cost, they are really trying to get by with as minimum as possible to keep the cost down. But in the west side, you can really see the effects of it. I was very, very surprised yesterday as to see how bad it looked.
Have we gotten past the highest demand for water to set this crop? I know kernels are starting to harden off now. If we have limited supply of water to finish out this crop, is that going to materially affect the size of this crop in your opinion?
The crop is fulfilled now. It's all full now. So I mean, at this point, it's maintenance, right? Making sure that those nuts don't shrivel. So I mean, you still have to maintain the water. The problem is, the increase of water use is going to go up because of the hotter weather. So you have 100-degree weather, 105-degree weather. These trees utilize a lot more water, even though the crop is already made.
Could still be affected.
Absolutely.
If you have tighter water before you harvest.
Absolutely, and we've seen that before, where you have a smaller crop, the hull seems to be thicker, so you don't really have the kind of weight that you're thinking you're going to have.
Okay, thank you, Conrad. Mike, looks like we're running a little late, so why don't you summarize for us?
So again, we've just seen the 10th position report of the year, continued strength. The next few pieces of information to come out are going to be the June, July position reports, as well as the objective estimate. That's going to be coming out the first part of July, so stay tuned.
Okay, and your expectations for June? Good numbers?
Continued strength throughout the rest of this crop year.
Great. Well, that's been Dave, Mike, Conrad, and Blake. Thank you.
Thank you.